Do you know what is? E-kiss. So basically it's internet and I'm actually involved with a cord that is mainly about e-girls, e-dating, e-kiss, and it's basically all about, you join a Discord channel, that's the bed. It's basically an online Discord world where, you know, it's basically in real life. So I'm involved with that. Like, I had multiple times. Like, I didn't lose my virginity, but I lost my e-virginity. You get what I'm saying? So that's basically...
This is the guy who just made fun of me, Andrew. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Call him. Call him. Talk to him, Andrew. Let's go.
What's up, guys? Derek, moreplaysmoredates.com. Today we're going to be talking about the Manosphere, I guess, or the red pill going mainstream. This is interesting to see this like subculture niche shit that is, I don't know, like it's not like pickup artist stuff, but it's kind of like it all sort of intertwines and meshes and has this weird overlap that I'm just like, you know, it's like the basis of my channel was kind of like stemmed off of that, like, you know, red pill awareness shit, I guess. And the realities of the world, realistically, because it's like at the end of the day, you kind of get a harsh reality check when it comes to, you know, building out a dating life, getting successful in, you know, entrepreneurial endeavors, like any area as a man that you have to develop yourself to become a successful person, whether it's, you know, whatever vector or fucking thing you're talking about. At the end of the day, like usually there will be like a self-awareness slap in the face where you kind of realize that shit isn't handed to you on a silver platter. So, you know, Andrew Tate is probably the most, I don't know, like the poster boy for, I don't even think he tries to be like a red pill, like Manosphere guy, but it's just, he kind of gets lumped into that category by default because of his views and whatnot. And he's like lately, you know, blowing up on the internet. He is basically infiltrated everyone's For You page on TikTok via just like exorbitant amounts of clips that have been taken from his students from his course and whatnot, and have basically forced him into virality, essentially. And it's kind of interesting because I've, you know, by extension, through a friends of friends, been, you know, associated with these guys in some capacity for a fucking long time, like way back before I had any following whatsoever, and like before they really had a following whatsoever. I think they were like one of the first Gorilla Mind affiliates, actually. I think some of you guys have probably seen the original Tristan Tate is Limitless with Gorilla Mind Rush. That video is fucking funny. But anyways, more recently, again, Andrew has been blowing up and he's gone on big podcasts, and, you know, he's been on Twitch streams recently. And, you know, expectedly, it kind of ends up on my YouTube homepage. I guess it's not the For You page. I don't even know what it's called, to be honest, but it's like suggested recommended videos. And I was tuning into Clix Andrew Tate stream. So it's like this young kid who apparently is a Fortnite streamer for a living. And as you would expect, like a guy like Andrew who came up, like I think he's 35, turning 36 this year. He has been around like pre-internet and sort of with the evolution of the internet as well, and kind of, you know, had actual hard-working, you know, skills to actually get money that involved actual fucking arduous tasks rather than sitting on a computer, you know, chair and fucking gaming for 14 hours a day. So him trying to wrap his head around like this, you know, like Fortnite streamers and shit and like their mentality and mindset, it's entertaining in itself for sure. But above and beyond that, me noticing the social disconnect and lack of awareness from some of these, you know, like up and coming, you know, Gen Z individuals who have basically become hermits where they will not even leave their like streaming fucking cubicle essentially in order to interact with the opposite sex or develop communication skills above and beyond interacting with their chat essentially. It's very revealing of why the generations coming up are increasingly more socially distant and seemingly sexless. Actually, there's some interesting data on that, which we'll get into shortly. But anyways, this clip, I thought it was kind of funny, but also kind of fucking scary at the same time.
Okay, this is actually a question to get into. Andrew, do you know what e-sex is? E-kiss? So basically it's internet sex, and I'm actually involved with a chord that is mainly about e-girls, e-dating, e-sex,
Involved in a chord, bro. Like, is that short for Discord? Like, was it that hard to say the fucking full word? Jesus.
e-kiss, e-e, and it's basically all about, you join a Discord channel, that's the bed. It's basically an online Discord world where, you know, it's basically in real life. So I'm involved with that. Like, I had e-sex multiple times. Like, I didn't lose my virginity, but I lost my e-virginity. You get what I'm saying? So that's basically...
This is the guy who just made fun of me, Andrew. Can you fucking believe that?
Yeah.
Call him a bitch. Call him a bitch. Talk to him, Andrew. Let's go.
All right. I mean, I don't think losing your e-virginity is a real thing.
Well, yeah, maybe in your world, but, you know, our world, we all have e-sex.
Why?
I've had e-sex before.
Well,
so
it's just because it's
a lot better than what you would think.
Yeah. Because why would I waste my energy to, you know, actually have sex with an actual girl, put in the effort, you know, to get her to my house, rather than you could join a room that's basically Clix's bed, continue, you know, do the, you know what I'm saying, just not use your physical energy. It's more a mental game, and that's how you practice.
Okay, and do you want to have e-sex forever, or do you want to have real sex?
No, I'll have real sex, but I'm just waiting until I'm 18.
Why?
Well, because, like...
Okay, let's say you're 18. What's going to change? You're going to start going up to girls, or you're going to stay a pussy?
I'm gonna start going up to girls.
Bro, take the
if you want me to get a girl on stream right now, I could get a girl on stream. And
Get a girl on stream. Get a girl on stream.
1 second, guys.
Let's go.
So he goes on to get this chick on stream, and then the last like 20 minutes of the thing is Andrew basically pressuring this guy to get his first kiss, and it's hilarious, cringy, just every fucking, I don't know. It's a fucking debacle of a situation, but it's wild how nowadays, like, this guy, like, if presumably he's like a fucking Fortnite celebrity among his age demographic, or else, you know, Andrew wouldn't even shown up to the stream if he didn't have some sort of something to get out of it from like a monetary clout perspective, which is like totally understandable. Why would you, as a 35, 36-year-old, show up to a fucking 17, 18-year-old guy's stream talking about Fortnite and e-sex and shit? But interestingly enough, this is like, for him, you know, this is not, he's not a good example. And, well, when you see a social disconnect from even being able to communicate with this chick sitting here, to me, it seems pretty clear that there has not been a lot of, like, you know, outside interaction outside of his like cubicle streaming thing that he has going on, essentially, which is fine. He's a fucking young dude, but at the end of the day, kids are waiting longer and longer to expose themselves to uncomfortable situations, and oftentimes they just don't entirely. And that's kind of what the data seems to reveal, is that it's funny because the titles are like, what's Gen Z's aversion to sex? Like, as if they're actively avoiding it, when in reality, it's just that less guys are having sex because they're just fucking shitty at talking to people and meeting people. Gen Z is shaping up to be the least sex-positive generation in a long time. Gen Z refers to the cohort born after 1996. So it's old. I thought it was way younger than this. Like, this is shockingly not that far off, dude. So its oldest members are 24 now, and yet they aren't behaving like other generations at that age. One seminal study found that Gen Zers between the age of 20 and 24 were more likely than both millennials and Gen Xers to report having no sexual partners. 15% said they were sexually inactive, compared to only 6% of Gen Xers when they were the same age. Other studies found similar patterns of Other studies found similar patterns of sexlessness, and it was particularly pronounced among young men who like to play video games. Awash in semi-pornographic advertising, a large portion of Gen Z would rather not. What could be driving this aversion to sex? Yeah, that's definitely it. The guys don't want to fuck. That's definitely what's happening right now. It's important to remember that 85% of Gen Z do report sexual activity since turning 18, but for the high percentage who do not, several key factors appear to be at play. Young men have fallen behind their female peers in educational attainment and employment prospects, which can create an overall sense of malaise and disillusionment. Fuck, big words. And when young men are struggling, young women will feel those effects too. In general, Gen Zers tend to reach life milestones later than earlier generations, living at home with their parents for longer and delaying marriage. They are also less likely to get a paying job or a driver's license than previous generations of adolescents, or to spend time without parental supervision. Without a car, paycheck, or personal privacy, dating and sex can become extremely difficult. And here we have an iStock image of what you can only assume to be you know, the next guy striving to be like, this guy is the fucking pinnacle of streaming. And what do you think the average guy is going to be who is like, I don't even know, like what proportion of streamers end up successful? Probably, you know, just like on YouTube, just like in any fucking endeavor in life, actual jobs, you know, if you're trying to become a lawyer or even a lifeguard, like the amount of like stratification down to the amount of people that got through when I was trying to be a lifeguard at like, you know, 19, 20 years old, there was, you know, hundreds of applicants that would get fucking like literally sifted out of the applicant pool, and these were individuals who actually had their certifications and whatnot. Like at the end of the day, like how likely is it that this kid or any other kid who's streaming is going to actually attain, you know, some sort of social notoriety that is going to equate to him just being able to, you know, call some chick over and get her on stream and just be like, you're some fucking random dude who has never left his house, and just be like, yeah, get over here. Most of these guys are going to be sexless and essentially have, you know, nothing going for them, unfortunately, and essentially trying to attain not only financial freedom, but in addition to that, I don't know, like developing their entire like self-worth based upon their gaming skills and based on their subscriber count on Twitch or something. I don't like what percentage of those individuals make it versus end up being like a hermit on a fucking computer for the rest of their life. I would estimate I'm sure it's in the low like 0.000 something percentile or something. So anyway, without a car, paycheck, or personal privacy, dating and sex can become extremely difficult. But as a sex neuroscientist, that's a very, very specialized position. I wonder what the salary is for that. I'm a sex neuroscientist, bro. I have come to believe that it's not just external factors leading to the repudiation of sex positivity among so many Gen Zers, considering that most social interactions for this generation, including hanging out with friends, happens through digital screens, in some cases racking up 9 hours a day of screen time a day. There is no doubt in my mind that this technological disconnect is having a profound impact on sexuality. One can easily imagine how to many adolescents and young adults, sex, intimacy, and human connection can become foreign concepts and perhaps even a little intimidating. Then there's the difficulty of meeting people in real life. One avenue that used to be available and has been blocked has been meeting people at work. The Me Too movement undoubtedly brought positive social change, but it took workplace dating off the table and introduced an entirely new can of worms, complicating the male-female dynamic. Young people now have fewer places to meet a potential partner, and young men fear serious reputational damage in addition to baseline romantic rejection if the other party doesn't appreciate being asked out. It's not, of course, all bad news that a lot of Gen Z isn't sexually active. One of the silver linings of the sex gap is that US teen pregnancy rates have continued to decline, possibly thanks to a documented decline in alcohol consumption when it comes to Gen Z. Finally, it's possible that these Gen Zers are abjuring sex, are actually having it online. Sexual outlets like sexting and webcamming could account for why young people are having less sex, given that online sex isn't typically taken into account when studies ask about sexual activity. But it's online where Gen Z's real social activity lies. The desire to have face-to-face conversation is often eclipsed by an endless array of online alternatives, including discussion forums and dating apps that simulate the process of in-person interaction without risking true engagement. And above and beyond that, like how many guys are, I don't know, following their favorite creator and then subscribing to their OnlyFans, like yanking it to their fucking content all the time? How many are addicted to porn or desensitizing their brain and their dopaminergic circuitry to a point that they can't even fucking interact with the opposite sex? And even once they finally get a chick in their bed, their dick doesn't even work because they've been watching goddamn hentai and shit all day. Like that's a real goddamn problem. Still, no matter how much one prefers to live their life in pixels, at some point reality necessitates a return to physical space. Instead of gawking with morbid curiosity at the generational sex gap, we should be addressing serious issues pertaining to sex education and uncomfortable conversations about sexuality that cannot be solved by disconnecting. By Deborah So, the sex neuroscientist. Now, I've talked many times about how important I feel like actually being able to talk on a whim to any human, realistically, regardless if they're an attractive female or just a male in a, interview, if you're applying for a job, if you're doing public speaking, if you are doing a business presentation in university. All of these things have like bleed over effect into each other. And at the end of the day, if you are incapable of fluently and articulately elucidating your points in this kind of a format, regardless if it's with a hot chick, regardless if it's in a business presentation, whatever, like this is going to have negative implications to your quality of life when it comes to building high quality relationships. And again, relationships, not just about, you know, getting chicks into bed or whatever. This is about like your entire fucking infrastructure of your social life. And one thing I found interesting too, this video, and this is the part of the problem too with this whole online shit and the way everything is going, where guys are not only like de-risking by trying to engage with the opposite sex through fawning over them online and, you know, blowing them up over like, you know, risk-free, you know, online dating messages and DMs and shit, which by the way, like totally fucking efficient way to go about doing it if you are able to capitalize on it and have, you know, high enough quality, can display your, you know, like product or, you know, quality of your life, your value through a fucking screen, you know, more power to you. It definitely moves the needle and is super efficient if you can make it happen. But again, at the end of the day, how many guys online are actually going to be successful? It's becoming a more disproportionately fucked up ratio. It used to be like, I don't know, I probably said 2 years ago or something that 80% of the guys get 20% of the girls online. At this point, it's probably way worse than that. There has been studies on it and shit, and it does not look promising. And you know, the cap off of this whole article was kind of stemming back to the fact that simulating the process of in-person interaction without risking true engagement, and girls have become inundated with so much of this. Their egos are so hyper-inflated from the online dating and, you know, getting a match every 2 seconds, and like every guy's fucking pinging them because it's just the volume of goddamn, the influx of requests, you know, fucking likes on their pictures, hearts, emojis, fucking DMs, goddamn online dating options out the wazoo. Like girls at this point have, a lot of them have really inflated egos to a point that you would really need to set yourself apart to stand out in the online dating sphere. So like this guy, it was 16,000 swipes and how many matches? Tinder experiment proves how brutal it is for average guys. And this video basically shows a guy's like, you know, the brutal realities of what many would consider to be like a guy who checks a lot of the boxes. Like he's tall, he's has a decent job, he's reasonable looking, his pictures weren't terrible. You know, everything was like, seemed to be pretty fucking dialed in. And then he had like relatively lackluster results. And it's kind of an unfortunate reality, but it is the reality at the end of the day that you need to like very much set yourself apart online. And again, this like Clix guy, he's young and inexperienced, but he has like millions of followers online. So when he just like, you know, sends a chick a fucking DM or something and asks her to come on his stream, even though he's like completely socially awkward and has no idea what the fuck he's doing, you know, he might be fine and end up with the experience he needs, even though he can live in his hermit environment and just make it happen because of his clout. But for the average guy, and for, you know, most guys in this article, like I very, very much have sympathy for the fact that they have put themselves and imposed this environment upon themselves and have fucked with their brain chemistry so much that they're gonna end up in a predicament that is less than ideal. I predict the rates of depression will incredibly escalate over the coming years, and I think it's gonna be on the back of a lot of this shit, to be honest. So anyway, circling back to this experiment, it basically showed, you know, some of the brutal statistics in the online dating marketplace, like whatever you wanna call it. It was like, let's see, 7,880 something likes equal to this many, 290 matches, over 7,500 no matches. And then of that, he had 99 messages returned to him, 191 didn't return to him, 87 of them he opened on, presumably. I don't know, like he should have messaged at least 250. Like, I don't know, it breaks down to 68 conversations, 40 ghosted, 11 phone numbers, 3 dates. Like, a lot of goddamn numbers here, but, you know, back in the fucking, you know, the Red Pill PUA days, like I would see people break down charts like this all the time. So like, I don't really blame them for doing it, because analytics and data are analytics and data. And if it gives you like a harsh reality check, like imagine fucking swiping 7,886 times and ending up with 3 dates and then nothing materialized out of that. Like you would be pretty goddamn disheartened and discouraged at that point. And I think, to be honest, again, only so many people are going to be successful online. It's going to be on the back of whatever you can display online from a clout aspect, from a quality of life aspect, from financial freedom aspect, just sheer like excessively good, attractive looks. All that kind of stuff is like, you know, very surface level shit that you can't really get to the heart of. Are you a humorous person? Do you come across as charismatic? Like this kind of shit does not really reflect well from like very, very surface level DMs and stuff. And a lot of guys are selling themselves short by relegating themselves to just this like sub niche of the fucking internet and being like socially inept to the point that they can't even walk up to a human in real life. Like presumably these gamers at some point and these guys who are basically locking themselves in their fucking house have to leave the house to go to the gym, go to the grocery store, like actually interact with the human fucking population that surrounds them. And at that point, they're so withdrawn that if they actually see a hot chick in real life who was not like somebody they're subscribed to their OnlyFans or some chick they stumbled across over, you know, Instagram Explore page or on Tinder, they like don't even have the capacity and the mental bandwidth to fucking walk up to them. And it's very sad. Like this is something that, to be honest, I feel like if I was Gen Z and just like trying to start my, you know, dating escapades or whatever, like I'd be thrilled at the thought of how little competition there really is. Like the fucking diminishment in the quality of men out there is just disintegrating by the day, to a point where if you're able to actually walk up to a chick confidently, like that's like a huge separating fucking differentiator at this point. Like back in the day, it was a big deal to be able to walk up to somebody on a whim with, you know, no nerves and actually show charisma and social fluency and hold like a high quality conversation. It was pretty impressive, even like, you know, 10 years ago and whenever the fuck I, you know, started looking at this stuff. But now you're like, you're a fucking wizard probably if you can do it compared to what's going on online now. So this is like a very, very scary reality of the world we live in. And I can see why a lot of women, I can see why there's an aversion to sex, because there's less men that women are even attracted to and want to even fuck to begin with. And then of the Gen Z men, there are less that are actually like qualified men who are even confident enough to fucking walk up to somebody in person. Like they're just doing the most, you know, hermit ass shit, and it's fucking brutal. So again, I guess this is like, to some people, this would seem like a very, very, I don't know, like depressing situation whereby like, what's the probability of having success? Like look at these fucking numbers, they look terrible. I think you capitalize on that and you just actually make, you know, set yourself apart. And there are ways to do that fortunately less and less men are doing nowadays. And I think that stems back to your ability to actually display value in person, to be honest. Like I think the days of, again, like I understand there's the whole like Me Too movement and people, you know, like if you're not a fucking creepy dude and you have your shit dialed in from a, you know, hygiene perspective, you're like reasonably stylish, you have your shit going on, like you should not be perceived as a creep simply for striking up a high level conversation. Like if you're not stumbling over your words and acting creepy, it's actually pretty fucking difficult to be creepy. Like I get that the likelihood, even if you're like a 10 out of 10 dude, even if you say the most fucked up shit, you're not gonna be perceived as creepy. Whereas, you know, a 1 out of 10 guy, if he says everything right, he might be perceived as creepy by some people, but there is some level of social IQ awareness and I believe game, and I don't really like buy into the whole like game thing so much. I mostly think it's just high level conversation skills. If you're able to adequately actually walk up to a chick and hold a high level interaction, like I think the likelihood of you encountering anything worse than like a basic rejection or a fake number or whatever is relatively unlikely. And again, maybe this is different for where you live. Maybe I'm just speaking for my, I don't know, like the general area that I would be familiar with, but I just think there's an increasingly apparent way for men to actually set themselves apart as men, and this half glass full, half glass empty situation here could be perceived as a half full glass if you are the guy who capitalizes on the deterioration of quality of men out there, because there is a disproportionate amount of attractive and high quality women who are going for a disproportionately low number of attractive, and or, because again, there are so many other factors you can peek out as a dude from a financial freedom aspect, from a actual, like how much humor and actual confidence and social fluency plays into your ability to get a high quality chick and retain her too, I think goes severely overlooked. I think a lot of people look at these numbers and they're just like, fuck, if I'm not the hottest dude ever, I am fucked. And it's maybe online dating you are, but in real life, I do not see that to be the case. So anyways, if anything, this is like a fucking scary reality check for some dudes, but at the same time, I think it should be an enlightening moment of clarity for some people that the glass is indeed half full and there is more opportunity now than ever, not only from an online dating aspect, because if you're a fucking, you know, you can set yourself apart online and be like hyper efficient, by all means, dude, capitalize on it. But at the same time, there are less and less dudes who are able to even hold a reasonable conversation with other humans at this point. And that's even among like the attractive dudes. Like a lot of attractive dudes who are online and just like, you know, doing this kind of shit in their life. And when I say this shit, I mean, you know, being like online hermit ass motherfuckers. When they get on dates, they stumble and, you know, look like buffoons until they have enough, you know, social IQ to actually, you know, proceed and not get their, you know, panties in a bunch and be nervous as fuck on dates. And you can set yourself apart just by sheer experience, sheer exposure therapy, and just, you know, looking at the glass half full is all I'm saying. So anyways, hopefully that was insightful for some of the young Gen Zers potentially, or even, I don't know, millennials perhaps. Like, I don't even know what the fucking breaking point is for like, when are you a Gen Zer? Apparently it's a lot older than I thought. I thought Gen Z meant like you're like 19 or younger or something right now. But anyways, and then millennial, I'm not sure where the cutoff is, but like at the end of the day, this is like relatively applicable to anybody regardless of age, but you know, more so applicable for guys who have come up and are very young right now, especially teenagers, and have had their brain excessively warped through this kind of, I don't know, social dynamics that are more ever present in current day. So it becomes worse and worse, and you just kind of got to accept it and make the most of it. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Comments down below. Much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplacemoretates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplacemoretates, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. Preventative medicine, hormone replacement therapy platform, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode pre-workout formulas designed myself. Recommended diet model for gaining muscle and sports performance whilst being mindful of micronutrient intake and overall health. And anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.